There is this mantra in asthma: don't intubate the kid. Do everything possible not to intubate the child. And that's true if you're in the PICU. If you're in a pediatric intensive care unit, I agree 100%. You've got 5 or 6 people there who can intubate the child. You're just going to hang on till they take that last gasping breath, and then if they stop, you can intubate them. If you're the only individual taking care of them in an emergency department, you're in single coverage, or you're double coverage, and your double coverage person, is not useful for this type of procedure, or you're in a clinic or whatever it is, you're in a remote access hospital. Somebody was talking about that earlier. The idea of waiting until the child is so exhausted that they become apneic doesn't make any sense, because you're going to have to do this intubation, and you want the child to have some reserves when you go ahead and paralyze them and try and get the tube into them. So, I agree, I don't intubate early. Nobody intubates early in asthma. But if you're by yourself and you're going to have to transfer this child and you don't have a lot of resources at your command, don't wait till the child becomes apneic on you. Do it, other people have said, I've seen this movie, I know how it ends. I've thrown everything at this child, they're not turning around. I'm going to go ahead and preemptively intubate this kid a little bit earlier than some people would say. It's always safer to intubate that child while they have some bit of reserve left, especially if you're going to have difficulty with the intubation. Couple of ththings, though, when you do intubate a child. Number one, rocuronium works instantaneously in a child that's fatigued. So a lot of people say, rocuronium is going to take about 40 seconds. It doesn't. One circulation time, muscles are done. Because they pretty much exhausted the muscles themselves. The muscles are really fatigued. So that child who's working really hard, as soon as you push the drug, be prepared. They're stopping breathing on you. Okay, you're not going to have to worry about how long you're going to have to wait for them to relax their jaw. Push it, and their jaw is going to open for you. Okay, just anticipate that. All right. If you intubate them, the problem's going to be not getting the air in, getting it out. And I routinely, if it is an asthmatic that I've intubated, I have somebody assigned to squeezing their chest. So they get bagged for a little bit. If the numbers are looking okay, and I'm watching their end tidal, and their end tidal looks good, they're exhaling a lot of carbon dioxide, I'm okay. But as soon as the numbers start to go bad, you pull the bag valve mask off of the child, or the ventilator off of the child, or the T-piece or whatever, and you have somebody squeeze their chest. And you'd be amazed how much air comes out when you squeeze that chest. Put them back on the bag valve mask, or back on the ventilator, let them go for a while, periodically take it off and squeeze the air out of them. You can allow their carbon dioxide to creep up a little bit. That's perfectly fine. And their oxygenation doesn't have to be 100%, but anything over 90% I think is adequate for the kids. But you want to be careful you don't overinflate them. That's the one thing that's going to be a problem on them, is that you overinflate the child. And I am a firm believer of active exhalation. I've always wondered, and somebody do this if they can, and in a little bit older asthmatic, take one of those abdominal binders and wrap it around their chest, and just let that constantly exhale for them, and see if that helps them. Because remember, once you paralyze them, they have no muscles to squeeze down and get the air out of them, so you have to take over and do that for them. All right, ventilator settings, again, it's depending on what you're doing. If you're uncomfortable having somebody at the bedside bagging them, looking at the oxygen, looking at their end tidal carbon dioxide, is probably just as effective. But at any rate, it's 6 to 10 breaths per minute. Tidal volume is 6 to 8 mLs per kilogram. If the child's old enough, they have to be over 10 kilograms. If they're not over 10 kilograms, it's unlikely that they have asthma, because it's going to be a very small child. It's probably going to be more bronchiolitis or whatnot. But there you're going to have to do it by their peak pressure, and you want their plateau pressure to be 25 or less. If they get older, you want to keep it under 30. All right, you want to keep their oxygen saturations in the low 90s at a minimum. All right, and then their inspiratory flow rate, I have no idea what that is. That's something that respiratory therapists would say, hey, do you want it at 100? Yeah, that sounds really good. No, make it 105. Make it look like you're thinking about it. And then the ratio is always 1 to 4 on those things. Maintain the plat pressure under 30 if you can. All right, and again, the way you do that is you don't let them stack the breaths. If they start stacking the breaths, you take them off of whatever you're bagging them with, an EOT, whatever it is, squeeze the air out of them, put them back on, and do it again. All right. Keep an eye out for pneumothoraxes. These kids will get pneumothoraxes, so just keep a close eye on them. for that.